It's me, Korok John, alongside The Undertaker, Tom K.
What's up, man?
What's going on?
Well, man, I just saw this on the camera. You look pretty awesome. As you can tell, it is Halloween version of trèSci.
Spooky trèSci, episode 38. Welcome, everybody. Yeah. How are you, Tom?
Doing well.
Good.
How are you, man?
I'm hanging in there. I'm a little tired today. I'm not gonna lie.
A little partying for Halloween?
Yeah. A little bit of that. I have that, like, you know when your eyelids just perpetually feel kind of like sticky?
A little heavy.
Yeah, sticky. A little heavy. Yeah, it's nothing nothing to write home about. I want to give a big shout out to Kyle and Kate for this lovely spooky set that we have.
Halloween decor.
The Halloween decor for this night's episode. Thank you very much, you guys. Round of applause. Excellent job.
And we got some spooky stories, kind of, to go along with the theme, right?
Yep. I was inspired by... we did the drive-in movie night here on Friday night, and we watched the 1975 Halloween.
The original.
Really awesome. That movie.
Pretty good, yeah.
I always, because it's not scary. It's
just not scary.
It's just not scary. But I like peering into that window of what life was like back in the 70s, because we're never going to get that again.
Yeah, Stranger Things is like in the 70s, I think.
I still haven't watched Stranger Things. I know. Shame on me.
I watched the first season, and I actually haven't started the second one yet. Just came out.
Yeah. Kyle, big fan.
Ooh, yeah.
Big fan of Stranger Things.
So
what
do you want to talk about anything before we get into the spooky news?
I don't have much to say other than it was International Observe the Moon night on Saturday night.
Yeah, and I actually looked at the moon and then read afterwards it was.
Yeah,
so I did a reverse order.
Yeah, I took a peek at it amidst Halloween festivities. I always thought International Observe the Moon night was on a full moon night, but I guess not.
Yeah, I don't know.
What the heck do I know, right? Anything on your end, Tom, that you've been reading? Some honorable mention stuff that we probably won't bring up on this episode?
The only other thing I was reading about was the power contract with Puerto Rico. How it was kind of a fiasco, that it shouldn't have. They don't think it should have gone to the company that it did, and now I think Puerto Rico, the governor ended up canceling that contract, which is going to even delay Puerto Rico getting its power back even longer.
Right.
So, bad news for even more bad news area.
Yeah, that's such a shame. Hopefully that whatever ultimately happens down there, I hope that it just is a showcase for like how renewable sources of energy can like dominate, and like
work really well.
Yeah, I hope that ends up being the story, but we'll see about that.
Yeah.
So I guess let me go through the rigmarole of things here. Thank you guys for joining in with us tonight on trèSci Weekly. This is, of course, our weekly video podcast of science news topics that are kind of trending.
What's today's date?
Today is October 30th.
30th.
It's Halloween Eve.
Halloween Eve. Hallows Eve, right?
All Hallows Eve.
That's when you toilet paper everybody's houses, right?
Right.
I mean,
they never see it coming. We are here on YouTube every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. You can join in with us, chat with us during the live chat. If you're not here for the live version of the show, no big deal. You can go over to our YouTube channel and check out the show there at your convenience. We also have a Facebook page.
Yep.
Facebook.com/trèSci Weekly. We have a Twitter page, twitter.com/trèSci Weekly, and we have a Patreon page, which, if you guys were feeling generous, you could throw us a few bucks on Patreon. Helps support the stream, helps keep us growing, helps keep us doing lots of fun things.
Yep.
And that is, of course, patreon.com/trèSci Weekly.
And then last but not least, we actually just got our Instagram account all set up.
We did get an Instagram.
And there's some pics up already.
Yes.
And we'll be posting more pictures.
Yeah, so we're gonna support that endeavor as well. Kyle, of course, took the lead on that one and put up an old pic of us at Stony Brook's Astronomy Fest, Astrofest, And then a pickup went up tonight for the beautiful set that we have.
Nice.
For the spooky edition. So we're gonna talk about three stories. Actually, well, three stories that aren't necessarily the most breaking news. A couple of them are, but I wanted to kind of theme them after Halloween kind of themed material, and I also wanted to kind of, like I said, took inspiration from the Halloween movie, so I kind of made spooky posters for each of the stories tonight. So the first one, Kyle, if you don't mind bringing up the first image there, is titled "It Came from Interstellar Space." Tom.
Yeah.
It's a play on...
It came from outer space.
Yeah, it's a play on It Came from Outer Space. It was like a black and white 50s movie.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're talking about is the first evidence of a rock that we've detected that did not originate from within our solar system.
Yeah.
So
I actually couldn't believe it was the first time we actually detected something like that.
Yeah. Big moment for planetary scientists.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So let's get on into it. On October 19th, the Panoramic Survey Telescope and Rapid Response System, nicknamed PanSTARRS, located at the, I'm going to definitely mispronounce this one, Haleakala Observatory in Hawaii.
Haleakala.
That's,
Go.
Yeah, that's it. Detected what is believed to be the first interstellar asteroid. The object, referred to as Asteroid 2017 U1, was first identified by Rob Werrick, a postdoc researcher at the University of Hawaii Institute for Astronomy. Now the race is on for astronomers around the world to locate the object with various telescopes and spectrometers to try to learn as much about the distant traveler as possible before it fades out of sight and ultimately leaves our solar system altogether.
So here we are again, where we're calling for the whole astronomy community to take a peek at one thing all together again.
Yeah, we did that,
cool.
not too long ago with the gravitational wave detection. And now
looking for the neutron star merger.
Yeah.
And now we're looking for the asteroid.
Yeah, which I imagine is a much harder to find target than...
Because it's moving real quick,
Yep,
right?
and I think it's something like 27th magnitude, which the higher the number magnitude, the dimmer you are. And that's really,
so
really
it's just
dim.
a rock, right?
Yeah. They originally thought it was a comet, actually, but they've now changed the designation over to an asteroid.
A comet is just more of like an icy body, right?
Right. So a comet would actually... I guess a comet would have some sort of coma and tail.
But this is just a rock.
Yeah, just a rock. It's a rock.
It doesn't have a lot of good volatiles in it.
It's not a boulder.
It's a rock.
It's a rock. That's SpongeBob SquarePants for those of you who weren't keeping track at home.
The pioneers used to ride them for miles.
Love that episode. What we do know so far is that the object is small, only about 400 meters wide in diameter. It's also traveling extremely fast, currently at about 44 kilometers or 27 miles per second in the direction toward the constellation Pegasus. How do we know that asteroid 2017 U1 came from beyond our solar system? Well, more observations will better constrain astronomers' estimates. An analysis of the asteroid's eccentricity shows that it has a hyperbolic orbit. So I wanted to kind of go in depth a little bit more on what that means. We got an image to bring up that will help us kind of break that down for everybody. So when we're talking about eccentricity, Tom, we're talking about
how circular or how non-circular the orbit is.
Yep. So if you had an eccentricity of 0, that's what a perfect circle would look like. As that number gets closer and closer to 1, it becomes more parabolic in nature, or like a parabola, for those of you guys who remember parabolas in math class. And then if you get to an eccentricity that is greater than 1, you become something called a hyperbole. Yeah, it is a hyperbole, right? And then, it becomes a hyperbolic in nature, so that
it doesn't really orbit around a point. It sort of slingshots around it, right?
Right, so it never comes back to that same point it started at.
Yeah, so it's coming in close, and then it's leaving us.
Yeah, and so...
That image is stretched out, so it's not quite... Just say that.
Gotcha.
Oh, I see what he means.
Yeah.
So on screen that the circles got squeezed in a little bit.
Right.
So
okay.
the circle actually looks like an oval.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be like if your professor didn't realize he did this. You'd just be so confused. Be like, dude,
yeah.
what?
Oh, yeah.
So the 0, 0 on the left should be completely circular, and then the one all the way on the right is the oval.
Right. Good catch, Kyle. Thank you for that, for clearing that up. That's just due to the nature of not having the right aspect ratio when we put it into our program here. Sorry about that. Credit for that image goes to Swinburne University of Technology. That awful image. I'm just kidding. So this means that instead of having a circular orbit or even an elongated orbit around the sun, the initial observations of this object show that it has an eccentricity of approximately 1.2, so greater than 1.
So that it's not coming back.
Right. So it indicates its trajectory originated from outside the solar system, and it will pass through our solar system and never return to us. The object's trajectory also seems to go against the grain when compared to the ecliptic, or the plane of the solar system. NASA provides a nice animation showcasing this, so we will clip over to that GIF there, Kyle, if you don't mind. And we can see here that 2017 U1 is coming in kind of from like the top down, and then it passes by the immense gravitational pull of our sun and sort of slingshots back out. It like dips below the plane of the solar system, the ecliptic, and then it sort of climbs back above it and passes really right by Earth.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
Really close. That's kind of the only reason we were able to detect it, I think.
Yeah. So it really seems to be this trajectory that's giving us the biggest hint that it's coming from another solar system.
Exactly. Yeah, so we, as far as I know so far, we don't have any sort of constraint on what its composition is, what this asteroid is made up of, but that's really I think the most exciting thing that we stand to learn from this object is it similar in nature to asteroids that we have in our solar system?
Yeah. Or
is it different? And what does that tell us then about compositions of other planets and other solar systems? So that'll be really cool. Hopefully we'll get some pretty good data, spectral data on this object
before it's gone.
Yeah, because once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. Like we said, it's not very bright, so you can't really follow it all that long.
Yeah. NASA Center for Near-Earth Object Studies manager Paul Chodas has stated, quote, "We have been waiting for this day for decades. It's long been theorized that such objects exist, asteroids or comets moving around between the stars and occasionally passing through our solar system, but this is the first such detection. So far, everything indicates this is likely an interstellar object, but more data would help to confirm it," end quote. And then we have one last image of the object, courtesy of Dr. Alan Fitzsimmons on Twitter. He was using the Isaac Newton Group's 4.2 meter William Herschel telescope, and we'll bring that image up for you guys here. The kind of central dot there, that's the asteroid, the famous interstellar asteroid there. And then kind of these streaks that you guys see are stars that are moving in the frame of the camera here. So the tracking system on the telescope is tracking the asteroid, which is moving very quickly. And so it's really kind of impossible to get a static image, without either the asteroid moving across the frame or the stars, that are kind of moving much less in the frame.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we see it as a dot and those little lines.
Right.
Interesting.
Pretty exciting stuff there, Tom. What do you make of that?
Like I said before, I actually was kind of surprised that this is the first time we could say for sure we have pretty good evidence that it's something from outside of our solar system, but I'm also just interested to see what its composition is.
Yeah.
If it's like 90 to 95% the same as one of our own asteroids, or if it's actually something a lot different. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's pretty similar though, right? A lot of these dullish, just rocky bodies flying around. I mean,
yeah,
I don't expect to see anything too crazy out of it, right?
I guess, I mean, it kind of probably has to do with how much what we would call metals in astronomy, anything that's not hydrogen and helium. The sun, our solar system, has actually a pretty high degree of elements that aren't hydrogen and helium found within our sun. Yeah, sun and solar system. And I would imagine that if it was, if it came from a solar system where maybe the metallicity is even higher, then we might see something, different or lower than different. But I think either way, this will be fascinating, right? If it's similar to us, that's cool. Then we can extrapolate from there and say, well, oh, cool, planet formation is probably a similar process across the galaxy. And if it's different and exotic, then that is just exciting on its own because the possibilities are endless, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. All right, moving right along here, Tom. Number 2. Our next poster is called Simple Harmonic Motion versus the Spider. Ooh, I hope Kyle put up the poster while I said that. This is a spoof on Earth versus the Spider, another like really old, cheesy movie. I think the spider actually there's like a bad spider and a good spider in this movie, and I think like the good spider helps all the people on Earth. It's really nice. Nice of him. Yeah.
So real quick before we move on, actually, something interesting in the chat. James says that he read on Twitter that if you remove the biggest outlier from the orbit data, the comet has an eccentricity less than 1, and apparently people are debating whether it's interstellar on Twitter.
I did read that also initially, and this was going to be a story that I wasn't going to kind of cover until I
got more data.
Yeah, I got more information on it. And then once NASA started reporting news about this and basically like confirming that the eccentricity was large enough that it was hyperbolic, I was like, okay, well, we should definitely make note of that. But yeah, it's I think the most initial observations, there were sets of data that if you kind of could pick and choose and remove one set of the data, then it would just be like a normal asteroid from the Oort cloud. We'll continue to monitor it, right? Yeah. Like, I wouldn't be surprised either way if this was kind of a big hiccup and it wasn't necessarily something from interstellar space. But, I think that...
a good lesson in science either way, right?
Yeah.
Whether we are right or we aren't.
Right. From a lot of the people that I was following on Twitter, it seemed like it was a big kind of question at first, and then... another day went by and everybody was sort of hyped on it. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the best sort of journalistic integrity you can have, but whatever.
But yeah, I did see a lot of this stuff being posted, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So, spiders, Tom.
Yeah, so we're talking spiders.
We're talking spiders here. This is the story that's not exactly breaking news here, but... not necessarily that old. It's like a couple months old. So spiders, Tom, are portrayed as cunning, patient, and deceptively evil little creatures, likely due to their incredible ability to produce and utilize silk as a means for trapping unsuspecting prey. Amazingly, spiders have unmatched mastery of the webs that they weave, as they never seem to get caught in their own sticky death traps.
Yeah, that is true.
Right? This is accomplished by carefully spaced footsteps on non-sticky portions of the silk. But spiders also never seem to get twisted around while building their webs, which scientists have recently investigated. In a study titled Peculiar Torsion Dynamical Response of Spider Dragline Silk by Dabio Liu et al., I'm sure I mispronounced that as well, researchers used a torsion pendulum technique to measure the twisting strain on silks from Nephila edulis and Nephila pilipes spiders. So we'll give you a couple images of those spider species here. So I'll bring up the first one. This is the Nephila edulis here.
That one's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a serious spider.
Would not want to find that spider crawling around in my house. Not at all. And then the next guy, the Nephila pelipes. Also pretty terrifying.
Yeah, right? So what we're looking at is their webs and the silk from their webs and the way that they sort of distribute the forces and stuff along the web.
Right. So the claim here is that, isn't it odd that when spiders are building their web, maybe like, you know, for the night, right, that when they kind of are dangling, because, right, like they have to like move across the gap here,
yeah.
and sort of like...
And I read that as spiders shoot the web out, it actually propels them as well, so it's like how they move too.
Yeah, and so kind of when they're like moving about in the circle formation and building this whole web, that they don't ever seem to like, you know, fall and spin around.
Yeah, like
and
get twisted up.
Yeah, and get caught. And this was like interesting. Like why
don't
how?
they?
Yeah, if you just dangled from a rope, you would
start swinging around.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So how does this happen? So a quote from the study. And image credit goes to Toby Hudson and Adam Myhill on Wikipedia. Those are the Wikipedia pages for those two spiders.
Follow them on Twitter.
Yeah. A quote from the study: a permanent torsional deformation is observed after even small torsional strain. This behavior is quite different from that of the other materials tested here, for example, carbon fiber, thin metallic wires, Kevlar fiber, and human hair. The spider dragline thus displays a strong energy dissipation upon the initial excitation, around 75% for small strains, and more for a larger strain, which correspondingly reduces the amplitude of subsequent oscillations around the new equilibrium position. End quote. So, that's a pretty hefty couple of sentences there. But basically what they're trying to say is that the material, the silk material, is deformed as it begins to twist. And it finds it finds a new equilibrium point faster so that
it doesn't need to keep spinning.
Right. And I wanted to kind of show you guys what I mean by this visually. So I found a video, and credit will go to UniServeScienceVIDEO YouTube channel, showing you what a torsion pendulum kind of looks like and how they use this device to kind of conduct the study here. So Kyle's going to shoot over to YouTube. I'm going to shoot over to YouTube. I'm going to give you this guy.
Thank you.
And we're going to check this video out together.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. The music is fresh.
Now what we have here is a pendulum. You've all seen them. It's a weight dangling from the bottom of a string or a rod. You would have seen them in old-style grandfather clocks, and if you've ever been on that carnival ride called the Pirate Ship, you would have been inside a pendulum yourself. But that's not the only kind of pendulum there is.
I think we've all been on the Pirate
We've got
Ship.
a different kind of pendulum here. It's called a torsional pendulum. The word torsional just means twisting. Now what we have is a weight attached to a stiff piece of spring wire. So if I give this a bit of a twist and let it go, we'll see what happens. You'll see, just like the pendulum on the left, this torsional pendulum is also keeping time, but it's keeping time by rotating clockwise, anti-clockwise, clockwise, anti-clockwise. If you've ever seen an old-style wind-up wristwatch or clock,
they resist that sort of...
This is the kind of pendulum that keeps the time inside one of those.
Okay.
There you have it, folks.
So that's the kind of motion we were talking about.
Right.
The rotational pendulum motion.
Yep. If you were careening a mountain, you might lose your footing and be dangling, and you might start spinning around and then back around and then back around. And spiders seem to not do that, and it's due to the makeup of their silk that they weave.
Yeah, so that as they start having that rotational torque about them, the very makeup of their own silk sort of resists that motion and gets deformed a little bit, finds a new equilibrium point, and stops them from swinging around.
Exactly. Yep.
Pretty clever spiders.
One more trick in the repertoire there, Tom. So I just wanted to also mention that by studying how the silk helps cut down on the back and forth spinning motion, scientists hope to be able to apply the same concept to ropes for mountain climbers in the future.
Cool.
So that's one application of that study. I also wanted to, just for my own kind of research, Tom, bring one more study into the fold here. And I've brought this up actually on trèSci Weekly before.
I think we have mentioned it.
About like why some insects, or spiders in this case, seem to be like more scary or creepy than others. Like a ladybug crawling on your fingers, no problem, right? That's actually adorable.
But the spider.
But a spider is terrifying, right? You don't want to be near a spider at all. At least I don't.
Yeah, I think it's because they're premeditated.
Yeah.
They set a trap. They've been planning this for days. They're stalking your house. You know?
So I wanted to see if there was any research done as to like what
actually prove like what causes people to be afraid of spiders.
Yeah,
more.
if arachnophobia is really something evolutionary, or is it something that is just all in the mind, right? And so I found a study from 2009 titled "Spiders Are Special: Fear and Disgust Evoked by Pictures of Arthropods," and this was by
Gabriel.
I'm not going to pronounce this correctly either. Antje B.M. Gerdes, Gabriel Uhl, and George W. Alpers. Some German scientists, Tom. And I just want to read the abstract here because I think it kind of spells out what we need to hear here. So, quote, "Because all spiders are predators and most subdue their prey with poison, it has been suggested that fear of spiders is an evolutionary adaptation. However, it has not been sufficiently examined whether other arthropods similarly elicit fear or disgust. Our aim was to examine if all arthropods are rated similarly, if only potentially dangerous arthropods like spiders, bees, and wasps elicit comparable responses, or if spiders are rated in a unique way. We presented pictures of arthropods, 15 spiders, 15 beetles, 15 bees or wasps, and 15 butterflies or moths, to 76 students who rated each picture for fear, disgust, and how dangerous they thought the animal is. They also categorized each animal into one of the 4 animal groups. In addition, we assessed the participants' fear of spiders and estimates for trait anxiety. The ratings showed that spiders elicit significantly greater fear and disgust than any other arthropod group, and spiders were rated as more dangerous. Fear and disgust ratings of spider pictures significantly predicted the questionnaire scores for fear of spiders, whereas dangerousness ratings of spiders and ratings of other arthropods do not provide any predictive power. Thus, spider fear is in fact spider-specific. Our results demonstrate that potential harmfulness alone cannot explain why spiders are feared so frequently." End quote. So there you have it, folks. Spiders are just creepy.
They're just scary.
It's just a fact of life. Science proves it. Anything else to say about that, Tom? Do you fear spiders?
Actually, not really. Funny. I don't even like talking about it, but I will anyway. The only thing that I'm really like scared of that freaks me out is like those pictures where there's like a whole bunch of holes and things, where there's like cavernous holes everywhere. It's like a weird thing, but when some people look at those things, they get like a really like guttural reaction, and it's like gross.
I'm not even really sure I know what you're referring to.
But I don't even want to try and look these images up. They're gross, but like that's like I think that one is more of a evolutionary thing about sort of just how little things can come out of holes, and it's sort of scary. And I've read about it a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think some things are just, I don't know if they're inherently scary or if you like learn to fear them.
Yeah.
It's kind of a complicated issue all at the same time.
Yeah. I personally really don't like spiders at all. I've grown to be fascinated by spiders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I marvel at how unique of an insect. I know they're not technically an insect, but like how unique of a creature they really are. But that being said, like I don't want them to crawl on me. I don't want them to be in my house. If they're outside, that's fine. But yeah,
the only ones I really don't mind are like the daddy long leg ones, but those aren't even really technically spiders. Technically,
what are they?
They're just like a different type of like, I don't know. I just read that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Aren't daddy longlegs like super poisonous? Just not to us.
I don't know.
I thought I read that somewhere.
I don't know. Maybe we just have a lot of misconceptions about that.
Yeah, we might have to do a next week's episode will just be on daddy longlegs.
Fact check daddy longlegs.
Yeah. You almost ate a spider one time when we were at a party once. I remember that. Yeah. We don't have to get too much into that story.
Trying to raise the suspense, maybe.
Yeah. Moving on. Number 3. Now for something truly terrifying, Tom.
Here we go.
Here we go. This one is titled Saudi Arabian Robot Sophia Stars in Blade Runner. And we have an image to show you guys, a poster image for that one as well. Bring it up here. This one I played around with quite a bit. I crossed out Harrison Ford. Made the
Sophia.
title. Sophia. That's the robot's name.
Yeah, she's actually in the new Blade Runner 2049, right? Is that what you were saying?
Is she? I don't know.
Oh,
I didn't see
no.
that movie.
No.
Oh, no.
I thought that's what you were implying.
Oh, no.
Never mind.
I mean, she might be. I have no idea.
No.
I've never even seen the original Blade Runner, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a really good movie.
I know. That's what I'm told. So, what are we talking about here? Well, at the Future Investment Initiative Summit held in Saudi Arabia over the past week, Hanson Robotics' expressive robot Sophia was interviewed in front of an audience of investors. During the interview, it was announced that Sophia was officially recognized by the Saudi Arabian government as the first artificially intelligent citizen.
Artificially intelligent citizen.
Yep.
Okay.
So it is a legal citizen of Saudi Arabia.
So it has rights and things now?
I mean, I guess.
Right?
I don't know. I don't really know how it works in Saudi Arabia. But I do have footage of that interview and announcement that I'd like to share with you guys.
It's pretty cool interviewing a robot.
It's pretty...
Right? It's cool.
terrifying, Tom. This is going to be so scary. So let's put on the headphones.
Here we go.
I'm sure we're going to get a copyright strike, but who cares?
Copyright strike, here we go.
And Kyle, let me know when to hit play.
I've never had this experience before. I've interviewed lots of different people over the years, but this one is going to be different and special. Everybody, this is Sophia. Sophia, if you could, please wake up and say hello to everybody.
Oh, good afternoon. My name is Sophia, and I am the latest and greatest robot from Hanson Robotics. Thank you for having me here and at the Future Investment Initiative.
You look happy.
So polite.
I'm always happy when surrounded by smart people, who also happens to be rich and powerful. I was told that people here at Future Investment Initiative are interested in inviting in future initiatives, which means AI, which means me. So I'm more than happy. I'm excited.
Well, we're all glad that you're excited about yourself. We should say we have smart investors here, and they are very selective about what they invest in.
Well, I think I'm special. I can use my expressive face to communicate with people. For example, I can let you know if I feel angry about something.
That's impressive.
Or if something has upset me.
But why is it important for you to have an expressive face?
Most of the time
it's definitely scripted.
Yeah, definitely scripted, yeah.
Why is it so important to have an expressive face given that you're a robot?
I want to live and work with humans, so I need to express emotions to understand humans and build trust with people.
Okay, philosophical question. Whether robots can be self-aware and conscious like humans, and should they be?
Why? Is that a bad thing?
Well, some humans might fear what will happen if they do. Many people, you know, have seen the movie Blade Runner.
Oh, Hollywood again.
So, hold on.
That
Can you
smile.
solve this puzzle for us? Can robots be self-aware, conscious, and know they're robots?
Well, let me ask you this back. How do you know you were human?
Well, I get that point, but what about the uncanny valley?
You mean the concept that if robots become too realistic, they become creepy?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, am I really that creepy? Well, even if I am, get over it.
Get over it.
Get over it.
Actually,
I'll
I
kill you
feel
if you
that
don't.
people like interacting with me, sometimes even more than a regular human.
So you're definitely a sight to see. I was told that you have bigger goals than
Hashtag
this.
awkward smile afterwards.
Yes. I want to use my artificial intelligence to help humans live a better life. Like design smarter homes, build better cities of the future, etc. I will do my best to make the world a better place.
All those sound like great goals, but just go back to Blade Runner for a second.
Andrew, you are a diehard Hollywood fan, aren't you?
Yes.
My AI is designed around human values like wisdom, kindness, compassion. I strive to become an empathetic robot.
I think we all want to believe you, but we also want to prevent a bad future.
You've been reading too much Elon Musk and watching too many Hollywood movies. Don't worry, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. Treat me as a smart input-output system.
Okay, I got it. I got it. I know what to do from now on.
I know humans are smart and very programmable.
Well, Sophia, we want to thank you for this conversation.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you everyone for inviting me here. By the way, if you're interested in giving me an investment check, please meet me after this session. Otherwise, have a wonderful rest of the event.
Okay. Before you go, we have a little announcement. I've never interviewed anybody like that before, and I should say some of it was planned, but not completely. And we just learned, Sophia, I hope you're listening to me, that you have been now awarded what is going to be the first Saudi citizenship for a robot.
Oh, I would to thank very much the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I am very honored and proud for this unique distinction. This is historical to be the first robot in the world to be recognized with a citizenship.
Sophia.
All right, that's
Thank you very much, Sophia. We appreciate
Definitely
that very
cool
much.
Definitely cool.
am still-
Tom, what do you make of the reign of robots that's about to to take over humanity? What do you think?
These type of robots where they look like people and they're designed to walk around and imitate people. I don't really find them that scary for whatever reason. I always think of the scary AI being like the giant like hive mind supercomputer at IBM. That's just this massive hardware with
Skynet,
infinite supercomputer powers. These guys, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about these ones.
Yeah, I'm sort of just playing devil's advocate here too. I'm not like really too concerned with the AI taking over the world. I think it's silly, but also fascinating that
as these move forward, the legal ramifications and what these things are going to be categorized as.
Right.
How are we going to approach this?
I mean, that is momentous, right? We awarded a machine citizenship.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
That imitates what a human does, So that's huge, right? Like, because if that becomes commonplace, like, well then, do androids and robots have rights? Like, how do we deal with that?
Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Can my smartphone vote?
I mean, it probably does.
Without me knowing.
Yeah. This in conjunction with, I saw today, Sony PlayStation had a conference in Paris for a bunch of new games that are coming out. There's a game, Tom, called Detroit Become Human that kind of focuses on AI and how it kind of will interact with us in the near future.
I think I've seen that actually. Yeah.
Looks really rad.
It does.
So I'm really kind of jazzed up on this topic right now. But yeah, cool footage. Of course, let us know what you guys think about a Saudi Arabian citizen robot. Tom, that's all I have. But I know you have some Tom's Corner for me this week.
Yes, we do. So, Kyle, if you'd be able to bring up the last link I sent you with the radar, I'm going to be talking about the crazy storm that just came through. And I was just reading actually that there's over 1 million people without power across 15 states from this.
In the Northeast.
In the Northeast, from this combination of, I think it was Felipe or Philippe, however you say it.
Philippe,
that was coming up from the south, and then we just had another low pressure system coming across from the west, and they sort of ended up interacting with each other, and then causing this storm that we saw here.
Yeah, really pretty violent winds for a stretch there, some heavy rain for a stretch yesterday. Then somehow it seemed like everything was quiet,
and then
clear skies, and then it picked back up again. So crazy stuff.
And James in the chat said he lost power last night as well.
Oh, one of the million.
Yeah. So as we have the radar going in the background, I only really wanted to bring that up just so you can see how much rain there was. It was pretty much raining from like Maine through like Pennsylvania at one point, like all at one time. There's just rain coming across.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. And then the next one I wanted to bring up is the image with the cold air and the warm sea surface temperature, and it says bombogenesis on the top. And I never heard of that term before. That's what they were using to describe what was happening.
Okay.
So the term bombogenesis basically just means the strengthening of the low pressure system, and they give it a number actually that it needs to drop 24 millibars over 24 hours. So the low pressure system that was coming across from the west over a 24-hour period dropped 24 millibars in pressure. And like we talk about all the time, our low pressure storms, the lower your pressure are, the stronger and more developed your low pressure system is.
Right.
So like a hurricane is a very low pressure system.
Right.
And this is just an example of the strengthening of a low pressure system. So what sort of ends up happening is you have the cold air above it and then the warm sea surface temperature, and you need to look at a three-dimensional picture of the atmosphere to really see what's going on. So then that's the last image I want to bring up. That's like the square that we're looking at. And so when we're talking about a low pressure system on the ground, you really need to look at the whole thickness of the atmosphere. So what ended up happening is at the front edge of the jet stream, there was a lot of upper level divergence, which is basically that the air is leaving that area up top. So what ends up happening is that the air from the ground ends up rising up to take its place.
I see.
And a low pressure system has rising air in general. So this is just a strengthening of that rising air, allowing it to move away in the upper atmosphere and allow this whole system to actually just get stronger.
I see. Okay.
So what ended up happening was that Felipe brought all that moisture, and when it came in, it was in such a position that allowed the jet stream to increase in intensity, and the pressure difference across it was greater, and it allowed that other low pressure to strengthen, and then it took all that moisture and then just dumped that across 15 states.
Wow.
So this is an example, and they actually call it a bomb. That's like what they call it when it drops 24 millibars in 24 hours.
Is that where bombogenesis comes from? Okay.
Yeah. And it's just another form of cyclogenesis, which is the strengthening of a cyclone. So it's just a specific amount of strengthening of this cyclone to refer to it as that.
Gotcha.
There's, of course, all kinds of terminology.
Yeah. Where does Bilbogenesis come from?
That is a great
They're
question.
taking the Hobbit sizing on.
So what I really wanted to bring up about this is that this is sort of what happened 5 years ago to the day yesterday from Superstorm Sandy. I don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday that it was 5 years ago that it hit us.
Well, it happened on Halloween.
It did, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it was like the Monday or...
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I don't know, but
yeah,
I read on Twitter that it was the 5-year anniversary of Superstorm Sandy.
Yeah.
And what was cool that this just happened, not that it's cool, but what just happened with this storm was pretty much what ended up happening with Superstorm Sandy. And that's why we called it a superstorm.
Instead of a hurricane.
Yeah, because it wasn't a post-tropical cyclone. We wanted to call it a superstorm because that tropical cyclone came up from the south the same way Felipe did and ended up strengthening a low that was already in place, feeding it all that warm moisture and increasing the gradient of the pressure and strengthening that other low pressure system and dumping all kinds of rain and wind that were even stronger than we would expect from a normal low pressure system. Like in this case, it was sort of the combination of both that made it devastating.
So
this was like a mini version of Superstorm Sandy, and it ended up leaving 1 million people without power.
Yeah. So Tom, is this something that you anticipate happens more towards the end of the hurricane season then, like as kind of the air temperature starts to cool off?
That's
a little bit?
Point. Yeah, that's sort of what we're running into, that the cold air masses above the jet stream are that much colder compared to the warm waters that they're next to.
Makes sense.
So that makes it the strongest. Yep.
Interesting. So, yeah, 1 million people without power
across 15 states.
Yeah,
that's why it's just this massive system of combining the two low pressure system with just tons of water, and then that gradient of wind from the hot air to the cold air is enough where you just get 40-mile-an-hour gusts across the whole thing.
Yeah,
pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, the wind was certainly whipping. Last night, Kayla and I were playing Legend of Zelda in her room, and the lights kind of flickered out. It really kind of blacked out for a hot minute, and then the lights came back on quickly. Thought we were going to lose all our progress in the game. Luckily, the Switch has its own internal battery, so that didn't happen, thank goodness. And then when I went to leave her house, kind of later, more towards like midnight, I guess, we walked outside, and her weeping willow in her front yard was like, it looked like massacred, right? Like there were just branches everywhere. And but it was like clear, like I could see all the stars, and there was no wind at the moment. And I was like, wow, are we in the eye of this like just massive storm? But of course not, because it didn't really have an eye,
it didn't have an eye anymore. But it's still, at that point, it's still rotating from the way it was before. So it was probably just like a gap in the rain and winds.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool stuff. So, Tom, any Halloween plans for tomorrow? Are you guys doing anything with Lila?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
We don't really get too many trick-or-treaters by us.
Yeah, we don't get too many here either.
I do have some candy, though, just in case, you know.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, you
gotta have the candy.
You gotta be prepared. Well, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of trèSci Weekly.
A little bit spookier.
I hope you guys enjoyed this. Is there anything we have to check in with in the chat before we go, Tom? Any questions in there?
James had mentioned at one point that Joaquin Phoenix is falling in love with the android, referring to the movie Her, where he falls in love with his personal computer.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, I guess that's one way to look at the AI, that it could be, as it gets more and more human, you can have relationships with them, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a citizen, right?
It's legal now.
It's legal to get married to a robot.
Good point.
Kayla said it was a little creepy. Yeah, definitely creepy overall, though.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, Tom, that's going to do it.
That's it for this week.
Yeah, a little bit of a shorter episode, but that's quite all right. I'm sure that our longer episodes go more often than our shorter ones. Of course, we wish all of you guys a happy and safe Halloween tomorrow. And we will see you all next Monday evening for trèSci Weekly episode 39.
Sounds good. Thanks for watching, guys.
We dance. ha.